Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Capricorn energy. And like usual, we're going to do 2 rows. And the top row I'm going to refer to as high vibe Capricorn energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy, because we've all got free will and we have to make decisions in our life. And in our high vibe nature of having some hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in others and in love, we might like to do life, make some decisions in our life to maybe do life a little differently than we've been doing it. But our shadow nature can just represent our comfort zone. We'd be doing things differently than we've done them, and maybe move or hang out with different people. All those things can be scary. The bottom row can also represent our fears, our insecurities, our pride, our ego, our lazy, whatever nature. We'll get into it as we go. And some people could just be debating, just like we have to decide what aspect will I align with within myself. I have different people in my life. Some people are people who kind of have traits of my more worldly nature, my more immature, indulgent, whatever type nature. And I also have people in my life who can be more aligned with my high vibe nature, being loving and encouraging and supportive and kind of want me to heal and grow and mature myself, and I have to decide, and other people have to decide, who am I going to align with more, The reason for the top row's reading is inadequacy. So I guess just on the word inadequacy, sometimes some people would like to move forward with people who seem to be more just or fair or loving or encouraging, but maybe they don't feel good enough. Just with the picture, I don't really fit it with an adequacy. I guess it looks like a lot of demands, maybe feeling like they have too many other obligations or something to really be able to live their more authentic life. And the reason for the bottom row's reading, and some people could feel like that does seem like it'd be too demanding, right? So some people are going to move forward in life, and they've probably worked with some people in their life who didn't want to put in the work and effort. If you're going to move forward in life, it's kind of like pushing a ball, a rock or something, up a slight incline. It takes work and effort, and some people maybe just don't feel they have it in them, lack motivation or something. Capricorn is earth sign energy, about putting in work and effort. Some people could feel, since Capricorn can be about having a certain status or image or victorious or successful in some ways, more free from things that manipulate you in high vibe. Some people could feel like they still have a lot of things that manipulate them, even if it's just self-criticism. And some people don't want to move forward in that way because it's too demanding of them. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the belonging card. But it was kind of, when I was seeing it out of my side vision, it was reminding me of the 8 of Wands, and the 8 of Wands is Sagittarius energy, where we'd maybe like to, we can have people we'd want to move forward, or a job we would want to move forward with. In a lot of ways, it can seem like it'd be really victorious and successful in a lot of ways. But is it fun, creative, inspired? We might stay in our comfort zone just because the right situation hasn't come up, right? And is there an opportunity to move forward in life differently? It can all look good, but is it aligned with our truth? So anyway, kind of goes back and forth, and you have to work through these things. So let's go look at the bottom row first. We have reading, teaching, joining. Then we have laziness, risks, music. Sometimes we get in more mismatched relationships that some of the people in our life You could be a loving and encouraging person, especially to people who might be more immature, don't feel good enough within themselves. And so then you can be someone who really likes to encourage other people. Some of you could be a teacher, but maybe you're just a loving, encouraging person. But sometimes, though, in a shadowy way, we can kind of do that because, as human beings, we live in the world and we want to be in community and friendships and relationships. Are we putting in more effort into making relationships work with people who... The wrist card is kind of reminding me of the Fool card, where other people kind of are looking for other people who want to belong, who put in a lot of work and effort to be loving and encouraging and supportive. And, high vibe energy tries to move things forward to be victorious and successful. And then there's other people who want to be a part of that group, could try to present themselves as being in that same energy, but really they're kind of lack motivation, could make some foolish decisions, kind of, you're either kind of more in line with the tune of the universe and hope and faith and belief and love, shadowy Sagittarius, and wanting to belong and wanting to fit in, and can be all getting caught up in the illusion of the world, and you're kind of maybe being seduced by the want to belong or to be in a relationship or to have a certain status or image. And it's kind of like with all the different people in the world, we have the free will to follow as kind of like, because we all look and see all these different people in the world and see how different people are living their life and the decisions they're making. Sometimes we can just watch and it's like, oh, wow. Oh, I wonder how that's going to work out, right? And we could see some people who... Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. We could feel like we're kind of watching some people who could be taking some action in their life and got some lessons to learn. We could know that initially they could try to present themselves. The predominant figure in these two cards is a masculine figure, and the predominant in this one is a masculine figure. And the reason for the reading coming out in the top row is a masculine figure. And the masculine cards can just represent how we present ourselves in the world, because it's considered masculine energy when we go out in the world and present ourselves in the world. But the feminine figures can talk about how we really think and feel. And I view Capricorn energy as represented by the King of Pentacles. Anybody can go out in the world and like, oh yeah, you should work with me, you should want to date me, you should move forward with me, you should marry me, and they're putting on, wearing like a good false mask. Oh no, I have learned these lessons in life. But they really haven't. But they can put on a good show. But really, emotionally, they could be quite lazy. That could be, of course, you can understand what that would be in a workplace. But in a romantic relationship, people can want to get in a relationship, male or female, but they kind of just want to be kind of more immature and indulge in the relationship because emotionally, they're lazy. And they don't really maybe emotionally want to invest in it. And the wrist card reminded me of fire sign energy. That's also like Sagittarius, fire sign. And we all, in our fire sign energy of self, could be more motivated and inspired by the world, by ego, by image, how people view us. We can know people, they get in jobs and they kind of, I don't know, just just keep thinking they can move forward with people without really putting in more work and effort, and is kind of wanting to cheat the system, where other people really did put in work and effort to heal and grow and mature themselves and temper their shadowy nature of immaturity and self-indulgence and laziness and wearing a false mask to be inspired to kind of get tired of indulging their more immature ways of being. And then if they've been kind of hanging out with some people where they've been offering them love and encouragement, but those people are like, oh yeah, one day maybe I'll do that. Right now, I just kind of want to do this. Up here in the top row, we have anger. And it's just like employers and supervisors and friends and romantic interests, they can all get really irritated. Some people harness this energy in a high vibe way. They offer truth and love and encouragement to others to try to inspire them to work through their own feelings of inadequacy and their immaturity and their self-indulgent nature and lazy nature and all those things. But unless those people are inspired within themselves to even want to do life differently, they're going to keep doing life the way they do it. And maybe happily just moving forward in life like that. And everybody has the free will to manifest their life whatever way they want. It's just that when we get in more mismatched relationships, the truth sets us free. We need to see the truth. People can present themselves as like a King of Pentacles. They male, female. They could have, if it's a job, they have education, they have lots of job expertise or have a degree or past work experience, right? They would seem like they can do the job, and you could have been angry that something else didn't work out. And so stretch and rejection and friendship, we kind of maybe open up our options of, and the same way employers could do that, people in friendships and relationships can do that because they had been in certain relationships and friendships with people, and then they're kind of willing to, the stretching can be where you kind of have to stretch yourself to maybe expand your perception of how you view yourself and how you view others and what you believe is possible. And kind of the Eight of Wands, Sagittarius, is kind of going on this adventure in life. And we could certainly be mad that some other people and things didn't work out the way we wanted. And some people are working through the frustration and anger that some people that they thought were going to move forward with them in friendship and community and be inspired to work together with them cooperatively aren't inspired to overcome maybe things that manipulate them. And part of what could manipulate people is being either more inspired by their ego and their image and wanting to belong. Shadowy energy can kind of be, I want more. I want more attention. I want to indulge in more things. I want more people to indulge me. If I like to indulge in something to make me feel better, I want to indulge in more of it. Sometimes some people want to be in relationships with people where this is the relationship dynamic. I could play the poor, pitiful me, lack motivation and inspiration, and I want to get in a relationship with someone who's really loving and encouraging and supportive. That's great. It's kind of like someone else playing that role in their life versus them playing that role in their own life. And it might be something that helps them kind of move forward in life a little easier or something. Or if it was just them on their own, they wouldn't maybe do some more things in their life, but if they have those loving and encouraging, but the whole thing is you have to learn to do that and be that person within yourself, because eventually if people, it's kind of like, people holding out their cup of love for you to fill their cup of love, and you fill up their cup of love, and you again can be a loving, encouraging, nurturing, supportive person. But they always keep holding out their cup, and then you notice like they poked holes in the bottom. And that was like a risk that they took, because they don't want you to ever require them to fill up their own cup of love. Because this is how they view relationships. I get in relationships with people. I create this illusion that I'm motivated and inspired to bring a dream into reality from love and truth and justice and fairness and putting in work and effort, treating other people the way I like to be treated. And then once they can get the joining card, they get in it. Oh, well, now, perfect. Now I can go back to who I really am, which is kind of being more about myself and maybe kind of resting within a relationship. That was the end goal, was to get the job, get in the friendship, get in the relationship, and then I'm just gonna kind of indulge myself in it. Well, people end up getting mad. And sometimes people can blame themselves. Inadequacy. We've all been part of families and friendship groups and workplaces where, especially when we were younger, we wanted those people to work together with us in a more just and fair and balanced and loving and encouraging way. And sometimes some people, that's not where they were at, right? And maybe never were. And that could be when we kind of get inspired to you could do it on a walk, people, venting your emotions. And that can happen from reading books, going to movies. But, it could be, it's kind of like being a therapist to yourself. And there's no one else around to hear. If it's in your car on a drive, you play both roles, because you can really be honest with yourself and not worried about what somebody else thinks. And it is, this made me mad. This made me angry. This hurt me. I felt these people present themselves this way, but then they were immature or more about themselves or didn't want to put in work and effort and just thought everybody should follow them as a leader. And some of them could have been in charge, just like we as children with our parents were kind of codependent on them, and we got to kind of go along with what is. And to really vent our frustration, even to ourselves, we have the right to be angry, and sometimes we could have felt that we didn't have the right to be angry. And again, we'll all repeat certain patterns, and we could have been brought up to view that, oh no, you're supposed to be loving and nurturing and encouraging and supportive. Yeah, that's offering the highest energy of all. But if other people seem to not be putting in work and effort, might be making some foolish decisions, kind of immature or self-indulgent, I think they're standing up for what they believe in, and it's just and fair for us to stand up for what we believe in. And we can all get in our ego because we're mad that something didn't turn out the way we wanted. And we can always wish other people would change. And then fire sign energy also, and seeing the truth, which with Capricorn being represented by the King of Pentacles and holding that one pentacle. When someone's holding one pentacle in tarot, the way I interpret it, in high vibe means that they learn lessons in life. They got out of their ego to be willing to admit that they had lessons to learn. And we all could have viewed life a certain way. We all wanted to move forward a certain way. We all had our idea of how we wanted things to go. But the thing is, even though we in our own right, as people in the world, are like the King of Pentacles of our own world, we're not the King of Pentacles, right? We're not the boss, and we don't control things. We're part of a bigger picture. And I think part of the bigger picture is to see that love is supposed to be just and fair. And sometimes we got in relationships with people maybe more out of not having learned to be inspired to grow and heal and mature ourselves and love ourselves. And then we could have gotten in relationships more out of codependent energy. And we wanted things to work out the way we wanted. But when we were kind of operating from some degree of shadowy energy, if it's fear, insecurity, lack of self-belief in ourselves, don't believe we can manifest our dreams into reality, looking for someone to love us because we haven't learned to love ourselves, there's going to be other people in the world that are happy that we're in that energy. And if you're someone who's motivated and inspired by love, but you maybe haven't learned to work through some of your shadow nature to quit being manipulated by it, you're going to be drawn and attracted to getting in relationships with some people who are happier in your own shadowy energy because they're in their own way of being in shadowy energy. And it'll maybe be this kind of mismatched relationship. I mean, it could be two people who are both kind of loving, but they still haven't both learned how to love themselves. And so then they just kind of make kind of immature, foolish decisions, and life's about going through those experiences and learning those lessons. But other times we can get in a more mismatched relationship where someone who does have hope and faith and belief in love could get in a relationship with someone who doesn't. And the loving people think, of course, they'll choose love, and this will all balance out in the end. And the other person is like, I don't plan to do love. If I wanted to be a more hopeful, believing, loving person, I would have been that kind of person to begin with. But you didn't want to seem to want to see the truth of it. So I kind of figured you were willing to give up your dreams because you came and got in a relationship with someone who is kind of defensive or immature or reckless or self-centered or more about ego and image. It's like, I saw the truth that you're motivated by love, but everybody kind of wants these things of the world. So I thought you would settle for the illusion that, it's kind of, it looks like love, but it's kind of more indulging in a relationship, and it's more about these other issues. And they thought you kind of thought like them. You thought, of course, they would align and think like you do, but they don't. And that's part of the lesson in life. And it's been an interesting thing with having done tarot. I would have never viewed it this way before, but why aren't we, other than the fact that we might have some of our own self-limiting beliefs and might reject people loving us, like, oh no, I go try to get these people to love themselves. They have to change. They have some growing up and healing and maturing to do. Because kind of us in our ego, like, I'm this loving, nurturing, supportive person. I'm going to go try to make this person change. We shouldn't be trying to change people. Why aren't we getting in relationships with people who challenge us to love and believe in ourselves, where maybe we both have to heal and grow and stretch ourselves? Well, that's kind of like where we'd have to put in work and effort. Oh no, I'm going to go help these people. That way they're the ones who have to stretch and grow and not me. And sometimes we can get in a relationship with someone who kind of seems like we're both those kind of people, like loving and encouraging, but we both could think that each other has lessons learned from us. One person really could authentically be in it from love. You know, like, yeah, I got my own issues, you got your issues. I think together we can go on this journey together. And some of those people are moving forward with people, going to the next phase of life. Could have went through many phases of life together because you together are motivated and inspired to look at life differently and look at life from other people's perspectives. And you have people in your life and the way they look at life and some of the ideas they have, it's like, wow, I never thought that way. I just don't even look at things that way. And then it kind of makes you maybe think of doing things differently, and then you in turn can do that with them. But there's some people in our life that seem like they're maybe that type of person, but really they're not. Shadowy energy would be that they're more motivated by themselves, by their immature nature, by their codependent nature, their worldly, egoic, indulgent, materialistic nature or something. And so with some of those relationships, it's confusing if you're someone who's motivated to free yourself from things that manipulate you, your own fears, your own insecurities, your own self-limiting beliefs, to want to not let past pain and heartbreak keep manipulating you. You are, in fire sign energy, inspired to work through it. I don't want these things to keep manipulating me because it could stop me from more going with the flow, being more willing to be maybe more authentically myself or put myself out there a little differently. And I don't like feeling like those things manipulate me within myself. And so you're kind of inspired to work through it. But other people, you can choose, if the truth sets us free, other people can choose, I don't want to deal with the truth. I'm not inspired to do that. I'm just going to keep moving forward the way I've been doing it. I don't want to look at the truth. I don't want to look at the truth about me. I don't want to look at the truth about anybody else. I don't want to look at my past pain and heartbreak. I don't want to look at my self-worth or lack of self-worth. And that's when people could just decide, I'm going to operate from my ego. There could have been a time. This has kind of a younger feminine figure. And again, the feminine figures can just represent how we think and feel. At one time, we could have been more motivated and inspired, but, sometimes people went out there and they took those risks and it didn't work out the way they wanted, right? And so that's when some people kind of gave up. Instead of being inspired to kind of wrap their brain around this, sometimes things don't work out the way we want because it's trying to with stretch and rejection and then friendship. Well, we do have to realize we've all had people who kind of wanted to hang out with us a little bit more, maybe in a friendship, or people who kind of wanted to date us and we're like, I'm fine. I really, I think we're good. And we felt that way, and other people have felt that way about us. We've got to get out of our ego. We could look a certain way, we could have a certain status or image, or we could be full of ourselves, or, we can get in our ego about it. And we need to get out of our ego about it. Otherwise, and maybe some people wear a false mask, are more immature, don't want to put in work and effort, do some foolish risks in a relationship, get in jobs and relationships and just think they can coast and they don't want to see the truth of it. Are we willing to deal with the truth? Because the truth will set us free. And we probably will go through a phase of being a little angry with ourselves. Sometimes you can feel like I really did not keep up with my peer group. you know, how differently would my life have been if I kind of hadn't driven my life off into the ditch doing this or that, or spending that much time wallowing in my inadequacy or self-pity, But the whole thing is you can catch up and you could even surpass, because everybody else, some of the people that, if you kind of felt like you fell behind your peer group in a way, with people who were more bold, brave, confident, handled things better than you did, they can end up, we've all got to learn some lessons. And sometimes the people who things seem to go really smoothly for them and they didn't kind of drive their life off into the ditch, sometimes that'll happen to them later in life. I'm much more happier that I got some of mine out of my system when I was younger than people who might have more of a midlife crisis later, right? So anyway, we have to realize we don't control other people, and other people shouldn't be trying to control us. And shadowy people can control us, try to control us by not putting in work and effort and being more immature and all that to direct their attention elsewhere in a way, thinking you won't love and believe in yourself and that you'll come back maybe and do the relationship the way they want you to do it. And if not, they'll move forward with someone who does. The divine knows what motivates and inspires you. The divine knows what motivates and inspires them. And it's all trying to kind of get the mismatched puzzle pieces unstuck. Because in order for your dream to come into reality, you need to be in relationships with people who do work together with you cooperatively from love. And if you're a loving and encouraging and more authentic, inspiring person, you could have went through this experience to get you to work on why you might reject people who in your life did want to work together with you more in that way. But at one point in time, you could have rejected them. And part of that can just be not being used to people treating you that way. And that's like out of your comfort zone. And I'm not used to that. And this is my comfort zone, to kind of be more in relationships with people who are more immature, like, Sagittarius is represented by the Knight of Wands, where you're having to chase after people. And being in relationships with people who require me to work through my own issues, and that's different than me being in a relationship where those people have to change. And you go through it enough and you realize, why am I not believing I deserve justice and fairness? Sometimes we know some people are immature and aren't who they say they are. And that can kind of make us angry, but I think, people will reap what they sow. For a long time, if people work with these things of the world and they put a lot of work and effort into having a certain image or status, well, for one thing, if they're not living their authentic life and they're living like a fake life, well, that in itself is punishment in itself. But I also believe that eventually we kind of reap what we sow. And it could just be a more superficial, shallow life versus a more creative, authentic, loving life. We quit taking it personally. If you know people who are more superficial and shallow, really don't matter. And if they wear a really good mask, it's all... it's funny when I think sometimes of people who are really, really defensive emotionally, like as if they get so angry that they were authentic and loving and encouraging to someone, and I can kind of find that hard to understand, because I think you should be proud of yourself that you work together with people in a loving and encouraging way. But I think some people are really mad that they gave to someone and were like more authentic. Like, I would have worn my false mask if I knew you were. But the thing is, there is no guarantees, and other people can wear a really good false mask. And it was for us to learn that people wear a really good mask. And maybe up here we have all these feminine figures that when we kind of get maybe more caught up in our ego and our lust and all those things, we can fall more for the false mask, or we're more caught up in these things of the world. But we were given our intuition, and how many times did we get involved in those things? And our more high vibe fire sign energy was saying, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should fall for this. But if we were going to keep moving forward in high vibe Capricorn, King of Pentacles, we had to keep putting in work and effort to love and believe in ourselves. And so then it can kind of be like indulging ourselves in something, even though our intuition, which was given to us as a gift, is telling us, I don't think this is a good idea. I do not think you're on the same page. I don't think that they really kind of view life like you view life. But we get in it anyway, and we kind of hope for the best, and we take that leap of faith, and we hope maybe things will work out, and it doesn't. And I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of. And when we were the more immature, reckless person in our life, high vibe people end up getting out of their pride and ego. Can they be mad at themselves for a while at some of the things they did and some of the impacts it could have had on their life? Sure, but they offer love to it, because love is the answer. I'm a fallible human being who had lessons learned. I made mistakes. And then I offer myself love and compassion and forgiveness, aligning with high vibe energy within myself to treat myself with love and compassion and forgiveness. And if there's people in the world that I thought were those type of people and they weren't, am I upset? Am I disappointed? Yes, but my dream can't come into reality with someone who is still wearing a false mask, or doesn't want to put in work and effort, isn't inspired by love, is maybe more about themselves or their ego or something, And I can be mad that it didn't work out, and I can be mad that other people are immature or manipulative or blah, blah, blah. But if we believe everything at a big picture serves a purpose, it was just part of our unique journey. It's kind of like the divine wants us to get our divine inheritance. But as long as we had some issues that we weren't willing to deal with the truth of, and part of it could have kind of, to work through these issues within ourselves about kind of getting more balanced in our more worldly nature, and our loving nature, our masculine energy, our feminine energy, to love ourselves, to believe in ourselves, learn from these lessons, to listen to our intuition, get over feeling rejected. There's just some people I'm not going to go into that anymore. Let's go to this card. This card that's not showing itself. Addiction. Have any of you gotten in a relationship with someone where it almost felt like you were like addicted to them? And I think that type of relationship, the reason it's so strong is I think because there's so much that you have to deal with that person has come into your life to try to show you. And how many patterns or things that were kind of ingrained in us, or how we view ourselves, how we view the world, that we need to be enlightened to. And that person comes into our life for us to maybe see how kind of codependent we are, how we could look to other people to love us versus us loving ourselves and being that loving and nurturing person to ourselves. And then there are people who hope that you won't love and believe in yourself and that you'll kind of keep indulging them in their more immature, shadowy ways of being. And there's a part of us that, I don't know, sounding like the devil and a trauma bond, where the devil looks just like the Lover's card, except that the people are in chains and shackles. And, you know, the devil can be all these things that limit us, oppress us, confine us, restrict us, imprison us. High vibe energy and our own more authentic creative soul wants us to be free to go live our more authentic life from love. Go out in the world, treat people the way you like to be treated, be loving, be encouraging, and be supportive. But love is to be just and fair. And we can't get our divine inheritance if we want to keep staying in denial that love is supposed to be just and fair, and we are supposed to love ourselves enough to be a good friend to ourselves, to stand up for ourselves in our own King of Pentacles energy, which again can just represent our more earthly way of being in the world, where out of King of Pentacles would be like a good employee, a good friend, a good marriage partner, a good parent. We need to be a good parent. We are not children anymore. And it is our job to take over that role to protect our more authentic, loving nature. And we need to be nurturing and loving to ourselves as like a good parent to ourselves. And we need to stand up for ourselves from other people and see the truth. Not everyone. In a world of duality, there are people in their free will. They are more about themselves. They are more superficial, shallow, do wear a false mask, live more from their mind than their heart, are more about themselves, their wants, their needs, their lusts, their greed, their pride, their ego, their image, their status. And all of those are the reasons that can drive them in a relationship. And has nothing to do with love. Because the only person that they're concerned about more, for some of them, is themselves. Or they would authentically treat people in a more just and fair and authentic, honest, loving way. And we can be mad all day that some of the things that we wanted to have work out didn't work out, but we're not the boss. And the divine has a plan for us if we're willing to get out of our ego and think someone else or these certain things are the answer to our problems because we're looking in the wrong direction. And so that's what some people don't know about you with this card not showing itself. Some people are in more codependent energy, shadowy energy, and they wanted you to keep staying in more codependent, shadowy energy. And some of them think they still are manipulating you. What they don't know is that you've worked through all of it. You know, eventually they'll come to realize that the only person they were mostly deceiving was themselves. That you've moved on. Let's see what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy. I might specifically ask about that inadequacy card in a moment. Maybe it could just be, that's like our ego. Our own shadow nature wants to be the boss of our life. And some people, their shadowy nature is the boss of their life. And we had to get angry at our more egoic nature wanting us to be in the driver's seat of our life. And it's like, no. And I'm going to love myself and work through my own inadequacies and stretch and grow and heal and mature myself. And as you move forward, there's always going to be other people that are doing that same thing as you are. And there's also going to be other people that aren't doing that. And there's always going to be more shadowy people who want to be the next person to indulge in a friendship or a relationship with you. And I think you will get to know people, if you don't know them already, to know what their truth is. And the people who you see are still kind of more motivated by pride and ego or fear and insecurity, you're going to move on from them and like turn your back to people who are still operating more from their ego nature and focus your attention on the people in your life who aren't trying to work together with you from a more codependent, shadowy reason. What's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The Queen of Swords and the Death card. Why? Because of the Queen of Pentacles. So because you are willing to emotionally invest in yourself, you are being a counterpart to yourself, getting balance within yourself. So that when you go out in the world, in the Queen of Swords, you really are who you say you are. You're not presenting yourself as like a stable, grounded, emotionally mature person and then being defensive to change. No, you've changed. The Death card can talk about that you've transformed your whole life. We all grow up in the world. We're all kind of initially pretty caught up in the world. And we have all these things of the world that we want to manifest and these dreams that we have. And we kind of saw through the illusion of some of those things that it was stopping us from living our authentic life, investing in our unique talent, skills, and interests, believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams. And for some people, the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles can kind of represent all these different institutions of the world. Some of you could be leaving jobs. Some of you could be leaving friendships. Some of you had certain relationship dynamics with people where maybe you were being, playing that role in people's life, but you've seen the truth. They're not willing to do work within themselves for you to have a more emotionally mature relationship with them. So you're holding your sword up to those people. They're in non-life-giving energy and they maybe don't emotionally grow and mature. And you see the truth of it. I'm not going to keep investing my time, energy, and effort into people who aren't willing to, within themselves, be inspired to work from their more emotionally loving nature, who want to keep operating more from their ego and maybe just trying to manipulate and control people or intimidate people. It's like, you can hire someone else, you can date someone else, you can be a friend with someone else. I am moving on. And I have a dream that's kind of Aquarius energy, and it's not this. And for some of those people, they're like, but this was my dream relationship. This worked for me. It's like, well, it might have worked for you, but I found out it didn't work for me. Go be lazy and immature and wear your false mask or be bossy and controlling or whatever, or full of yourself with someone else. And I think as you're moving forward in that way, not taking more immature action in your life out of pride, ego, lust, greed, codependency, but looking to the future and detaching emotionally from an old dream and an old way of living life and viewing life. I think there's other people who some would kind of maybe want to be in a relationship with you, but they feel inadequate. Some of them are mad that you're no longer caught up in the illusion. You know, you could have say you got in a relationship with someone and you're in a relationship with someone and there was other people like that would like to be in a relationship with you. And like, if you got out of that relationship, they'd come get in a relationship with you. The only problem is while you were in that relationship, you kind of learned some of the lessons you needed to learn. And now you're over here and other people wanted you to still kind of be in this energy. Well, I wanted to be in a relationship with you, but I wanted you to be in that same energy you were with when you were with that other person. It's like, shit, you've learned about people like us. I can't manipulate you. I can't control you. I can't be bossy or all about myself or... No. So then some of those people are mad because you stretched being in some relationships with some people that were rejecting of you, made you do this work within yourself. And now, you know, you offer love and encouragement to your own more immature, shadowy nature to offer it love. Like, we tried it your way and it didn't work. And we're not doing that anymore. And if I used to let my more immature, shadowy nature kind of drive my life, no, now my immature nature has to sit in the back seat. And I offer it love and encouragement that we're going to go about things differently now. Because I have a dream and that didn't work. I have seen the truth of it. If I want to be in more emotionally mature, just, fair, balanced relationships, I have to learn to love me and be encouraging to me, maintain balance within me, keep things in perspective, look at life from a higher perspective, not repeat old patterns, and offer truth and love to my own inadequate, shadowy ego nature so that I can keep moving forward. And I think there's other people that will want to invest in you and will protect you as you move forward, just like you will defend and protect them, because they also have went through similar situations and they don't want to repeat these old patterns. You'll move forward with other people who have also transformed their lives. They're not the same people they were. And we did this at age 15, age 18, age 21, age 25. We detached from an old way of living life, viewing ourselves, viewing the world, viewing relationships, and we move forward in life differently. And when we move forward in life differently, some other people aren't ready to do that, and they'll repeat a pattern until they decide they're ready to change and are tired of it, you know, if they ever do. And yeah, some people are mad because they wanted you to just be more codependent on maybe just being in a relationship, because there's other people who want to be in a relationship, but they kind of wanted to be in a relationship like just to be in a relationship or to indulge himself in a relationship. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. If you want to do that, go find someone else. It's kind of like if somebody wants to be in a relationship with me, you know, it has to be based on truth and love, character, integrity, and less about the ego and the image and you. Because that's the only way my dream can come into reality. So I think you're also going to have your dream come into reality, with or without those other people. If nothing else, you'll focus on your career and your friends. What's coming up for more shadowy Capricorn energy? We have the Knight of Cups and the Emperor. And the reason that came out is because of the Five of Pentacles and the Two of Wands. Well, we all have these different people to invest in, right? And some of them currently and some of them will get in a relationship with different types of people. Some people harness like high vibe, motivated and inspired, well, a more shadowy fire sign Aries energy that anyone can harness. They'll know people who are more about themselves, more about the world, might look male or female in a lot of ways, like they have status or power or image or something. And they'll also have people in the world that they could invest in who are more inspired by truth and love. The shadowy people keep investing in being more about themselves and aligning with their more worldly nature and themselves, and caught up in the illusion more of shadowy Taurus energy of the world, versus I view the Queen of Pentacles as Taurus. So, and Taurus talks about our philosophy of life. And some people, they're more inspired by the world or themselves or ego or image or just indulging themselves or being indulged. And because they keep doing that, some of the high vibe people in their life are going to move on and detach from them. Because they've been trying to be loving and encouraging for them to move forward with them to bring a dream into reality. Kind of like the Queen of Swords, the Two of Wands can also be, I have a dream. But the shadowy people keep maybe wanting to be in relationships with people, again, who could be more codependent on them. An emperor, male or female, would have a lot more status, prestige, something than a knight. And a lot of times it wouldn't really matter if it's being loving and encouraging and having the same dream, and we can all work together to grow and heal and mature ourselves. But some people purposely like to get in more imbalanced relationships. They want someone who may feel left out in the cold to look at them as the person who can bring their dreams into reality. Like, you make me God in your life. You don't listen to your own intuition. You don't believe in yourself. You make me God in your life. And there's some people that are like that. And some people just more caught up in the illusion of the world, that some of the high vibe people in their life are going to move on. And if they keep doing this, the people that are going to end up they're in relationship are just other people who are like themselves. Other people who are wearing a false mask. Other people who don't want to put in work and effort. Then they might feel like leaving. Because if nobody's motivated and inspired to be more authentic and motivated and inspired by love, why are we doing it? Oh, because we just wanted to indulge ourselves in a relationship where we didn't have to put in work and effort. Some of them will end up moving forward with people in their life that I think they would really rather not be in a relationship with. But it might make them see the truth that that's the kind of person they are. Because when they had the opportunity to discipline their more immature nature and emotionally grow themselves up, they weren't willing to. And then they could get in a relationship with someone who also isn't willing to grow up and mature themselves. Because with anybody in our life, someone can be a little more defensive, a little more immature, a little more stubborn. Well, then they could have that same cycle kind of karma, what goes around comes around. They could want someone, could you just kind of heal and grow and mature yourself a little bit? Especially for the people who had been in a relationship with someone who was loving and nurturing and more balanced and more hopeful and believing, and then to get in a relationship with someone who isn't that, thinking, oh no, I'll like that. They don't kind of realize that just by the fact that they were in relationships with more loving, nurturing people before, they're kind of not the same person they were. But they went to go try to repeat an old pattern. And then it's like, oh shit, I'm not the same person. And then, it's kind of like, again, we all enjoyed being 21, probably. Well, then at 25, to try to go back into that when you've kind of been, maybe by 25, you've been kind of a little more removed from it, or 28, for an example, and try to go back in. It's just like, it's just not the same. And then they can kind of realize that they did go back to repeat a pattern, and is kind of realizing, like, I've got to go. Maybe I need to find something more in the middle of where I was and where I used to be, and, work through that middle ground so that, and maybe to get in a relationship with someone who's more on the same page as them. But sometimes people, just like people at a job, they try to get in a job that they're not qualified for, maybe puff up their resume. And then the other people realize, they're not really qualified. And eventually those people move on, and then they can be mad. And it's kind of, if you're not motivated within yourself to put in work and effort, why should you expect that other people want to put in work and effort? And some people could move forward in a relationship that neither one wants to be in. But because if it was a different relationship, they would have to put in more work and effort. Maybe by this one, it looks good by worldly standards, they'll just stay in it. Well, everybody has the free will to manifest what they want. Do you want to be in a relationship where you feel immature, where you're now the one maybe having to put in more of the work and effort, wearing false mask? I don't know. I think high vibe people want more authentic relationships. But the truth is, some people don't. So long as it looks good by worldly standards, that's good enough. And if they maybe feel left out in the cold and will never be inspired to do life any differently, perfect. Me neither. And yeah, that would be a more just and fair relationship. But as they keep doing that, more high vibrational people in their life will distance themselves from them. If at one point in time they viewed them a certain way, I think as time goes by, and because of some people who kind of did give in to their more immature, self-indulgent nature, their status could really drop. And some people were counting on, because they had a certain status or image, that they could make these poor decisions in their life and thought everything would still go the way they wanted. And while they went and made some poor decisions, they lost status, and some of the people that they rejected gained in status because those people were walking the talk. They weren't creating an illusion they walked the talk, they really did. And some of the other people wanted to look like they were someone who walked the talk, might have even played the victim in that all of the situation, but really is that they didn't want to put in work and effort, wanted to be indulgent, and eventually more people see the truth of it. The truth comes to light eventually. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.